Okay, in this video presentation, we are going to talk about one of the pressing issues that affects the home and the community that we live in today in Papua New Guinea society. Okay, the topic for this presentation is about the child sexual abuse and pedophilic in Papua New Guinea. Okay, we are going to look at how this issue has developed or changed over time. What are the root causes or underlying factors that contributes or fuels the problem, and all the actions, strategies and measures taken to stop child sexual abuse before it happens, or reduce the risk of the child sexual abuse to stop occurring, and create a safer environment for children to live, work and play. Child sexual abuse, including acts driven by pedophilic interest, remains one of the most devastating yet under-acknowledged forms of violence in Papua New Guinea. While reliable information, prevalences and data are limited, frontline experiences from schools, churches and facilities, community organizations and the courts point to a problem that is both widespread and complex. The issue intersects with entrenched gender norms, customary practices, social and economic pressures, limited service delivery in rural areas, and fragmented justice responses. Okay, this essay surveys the PNG context of child sexual abuse, clarifies terminologies, explores structural and cultural drivers, maps out the legal and institutional landscape, and proposes practical, locally grounded strategies for prevention and survivor-centered care. The goal is not to sensationalize harm, but to offer a clear, constructive path forward grounded in Papua New Guinea. Pedophilia is a clinical term referring to a persistent sexual interest in prepubescent children. It is a disorder of sexual preferences, not a crime label. Child sexual abuse, by contrast, is a legal and social category that includes any sexual activity with a person under the age of 18, whether contact or non-contact, including grooming, exposure to pornography, online exploitation, trafficking, and forced or coercive sexual acts. A person can commit child sexual abuse without having pedophilic interest. For example, opportunist abuse, transactional sex with minors, or coercion in intimate relationship with adolescents. In everyday talk in PNG, however, pedophilia is commonly used to describe anyone who sexually abuses a child. This essay therefore centers child sexual abuse as the core public health and human rights problem, while acknowledging that some but not all perpetrators have pedophilic disorders. The PNG context demands a broad lens. Child sexual abuse includes abuse occurring in family homes, settlements, temporary worker barracks, logging and mining, enclaves, plantations, schools, churches, sports clubs, informal business, and online space. It includes child marriage, which may be framed as customary but still constitute sexual exploitation when it involves minors. It includes abuse of boys as well as girls, and of children with disabilities who face high risk. It includes both on and off incidents and patterns of grooming that unfold over months or years. Any effective responses must therefore be multi-sectoral and community-led. PNG's remarkable cultural diversity, over 800 languages and highly localized customary systems shape child protection dynamics in many areas. Social cohesion is organized through kingship, one-talk obligations, and reciprocal exchange. Okay, such networks can be a protective force, but they can also create the barriers to reporting harm when an alleged perpetrator is a relative, a local leader, or someone whose labor or bride price payments tie families together. Compensation practices intend to restore social harmony may pressure survivors, families to accept payment rather than pursue prosecution, especially in remote areas when police presence is minimal and travel costs are high. Urbanization has added new complexities. A rapid growth of settlements around Port Moresby, Ley, Mount Hagen, and other centers has outpaced the basic services, leaving gaps in safe housing, lighting, sanitation, and transport. Wet migration to logging, fishing, mining, and agribusiness sites have created transient male-dominated spaces where protective community oversight can be weak. At the same time, the expansion of mobile phones and internet access were bringing enormous benefits has opened pathways for grooming, sextortion, production and sharing of child sexual abuse material, and contact with offenders far beyond a child's village or neighborhood. Religious institutions are central to community life in PNG. Churches and faith-based organizations often provide education, healthcare, and social support in places that state struggles to reach. These places them in a unique position to prevent and respond to child sexual abuse. Yet historically, locally, and globally also shows that without robust safeguarding policies and independent oversight, any institution that works closely with children can become a site of harm. Transparency, survivor-centered responses, and accountability are vital across all sectors. The third point is about patterns of abuse and grooming. While cases vary widely, several patterns recur. One, familial abuse. Perpetrators may be step-parents, uncles, cousins, or older siblings. This is often the most hidden types because it is tangled with kingship, obligations, household economics, and fear of family breakdown. Okay, point two, authority-based abuse. Teachers, pastors, coaches, employers, youth leaders, and health workers occupy a trusted role. Some offenders exploit this trust to isolate, groom, and silence children. Point three, transactional exploitation. In context of poverty or school fee pressures, children may be coerced into sexual activity in exchange for money, transport, phone credits, food, or promises of sponsorship. Even where a child appears to agree, the law and basic ethic recognize the inherent power imbalance and the possibility of meaningful consent. Point four, peer aids, coercion, and boyfriend grooming. Older adolescents or young adults may groom younger teens via gifts, rides, alcohol, or digital messaging, normalizing sexual access and isolating the victim from peers. Point five, online grooming and abuse material. Offenders solicit images, coerce via threats of exposure, sextortion, or arranged in-person meetings. In some cases, abuse materials is produced in homes or informal settlements and then circulated online, leaving a permanent digital trace that can traumatize survivors. Point six, child marriage, where customary practices involves marrying young girls, less frequently boys, under 18. Sexual access is often normalized as material from a child right perspective. This is sexual exploitation. Point 7. Children with disabilities. Communication barriers, social exclusion, and caregiver dependency can heighten risk, while under-resourced services make disclosure and response more difficult. Okay, fourth point to discuss is about why reporting is so hard. Several mutually reinforcing barriers keep child sexual abuse hidden. One, stigma and shame. Survivors and their caregivers fear blame, social ostracism, and violence. Two, economic pressure. Compensation payment may feel like the only viable way to secure school fees or food in the short term, especially if the alleged offender is a breadwinner. Okay, three, distance and costs. In many districts, police, courts, and child protection officers are far away and expensive to reach. Survivors may need to cross rivers, hire PMVs, or leave gardens unattended for days. Four, uh, distrust in formal systems. Okay, past experiences or delayed investigations, case withdrawals, or perceived corruption discourage reporting. Five, one-talk obligations. Elders may urge quiet settlement to preserve a relationship between clans or congregations. Okay, six, fear of retaliations. Survivors and their families may face threats or violence for reporting. These barriers do not mean communities accept child sexual abuse.